All right, let's get started. We like tight ends with easy schedules. So let's check it out then. Mark Andrews has the #1 easy schedule for the #1 scoring team, Baltimore. That looks good. How about Mason Taylor with the Jets with a #2 easy schedule? Sam Laporta 3 schedule for Detroit. Trey McBride with the 4th easiest with Arizona. You see, a lot of these good tight ends are having an easy schedule. Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo with the 5th easiest schedule. Juanu Smith with 6th there in Pittsburgh now. And then Tennessee with Okinawa. I think my dad was stationed there when he was in the service a long time ago. How about David Njoku with the 8th easiest schedule for Cleveland? All right, can he stay healthy and take advantage of that? Darren Waller now with Miami has the 9th easiest schedule. And Hunter Henry here with the 10th. Those are the top 10 easy schedules. Just make a little bit room. We'll go to 16, the top half here on the schedules. And next up is Dalton Schultz. These are kind of the middle of the pack here. Pitts has the 12th. George Kittle with the 13th. That's middle of the road. Hey, it's better than having a hard schedule. Sanders here for Carolina with the 14th. And Juwan Johnson here with the 15th. New Orleans. And Tyler Conklin with the Chargers. Let's reverse this around and see who has the hardest. All right, let's bring out some of these hard tight end schedules next. Jake Ferguson, Dallas, hardest schedule here. 32nd hardest tight end schedule. Theo Johnson with New York Giants, 31st here. Zach Ertz, he had a pretty good year last year and good team. He has the 30th schedule there. That's not so good for him. Travis Kelce, 29th schedule. And it might be his last season, giving him a hard schedule. Kobe Parkinson with the 28th here. Tucker Kraft, 27th schedule there. And Luke Musgrave's going to be back. Let's watch out for him. Brock Bowers here, 26th schedule. Not so good there for him. Bears, Colston Loveland, 25th. Cade Otton, not so great here. We're 24th. TJ Hawkinson here with the 23rd. Let's get a little bit more room here. Whoops, no. And then we have Dallas Goedert, 22nd. Tyler Warren. Boy, he looked good. He has the 21st schedule. Wish he did a little nicer schedule there. How about Strange here? Noah Fant. Excuse me, Evan Ingram. Mike Gillespie here at 17. Those are the bad schedules. All right, let's get started bringing these tight ends out. We're going to do tight ends rankings and special strength of schedule for tight ends too, but we want to re-rank. A lot has happened. Preseason's been going, so we're going to re-rank these tight ends. Here are the first 12 tight ends last year by tight end average. All right, so here are those averages. You can see George Kittle with a 10.5 point per game average, and Travis Kelce brings up the rear here at 12 with a 6.28. All right, those are their averages from last year. You see the slope down here. So, of course, Taysom Hill here, let's just get him out of the way early. He's missed the entire offseason program, recovering from an ACL tear. He's 35. Maybe his run is over here, disrupting the tight ends here, because he plays fullback, running back, all this other, you know the story. All right, so there's their averages. You can see McBride was a little bit higher than Brock Bowers here. And goes down, of course, Jonnu Smith last year. Filled in a lot for Miami last year. Here's how their finishes are there. Their fantasy finish, George Kittle was #1. And, of course, Taysom Hill falls out because you see all the games missed and that, and hopefully he's out of there. All right, so here's McBride, who finished actually third in fantasy finish, but his average just a little higher than Brock Bowers. And you can see that he played every game last year, Brock Bowers. So that helps get you there. But the average, what we're looking at, here's Juanu Smith. Now, Njoku missed time last year, too. Has a high average when he plays, but he missed some games, right? So you can see it sloping down here. Here's that. And here was their rank last year going in. So we don't consensus rank right here, and you can see they had Laporta first. He finished seventh here, in average. His fantasy finish was seventh as well. So, and Mark Andrews here, a lot of different story going in there too. Of course, Isaiah Likely will undergo foot surgery. Chance to be ready, but you're gonna get off to a slow start there. So Mark Andrews is gonna get going early, right? By himself. So that's something to keep an eye on. There's their ranks from last year. You can see, hey, 6 and 4 coming out of these slots, and Brock Bowers here. Here is the surprise. I like doing these. So negative number means you didn't do as well as you were ranked, right? So you have some negative. Mark Andrews was ranked a little higher. Laporta, of course, disappointed. Travis Kelce, disappointed. Positive numbers mean you did higher than your preseason rank. Well, Tucker Kraft come out of nowhere, right? Tucker Kraft came out of nowhere. Luke Musgrave gave nothing last year, competition there, so that propelled this Tucker Kraft. Juanu Smith, very surprising. Come on, last year. Brock Bowers was a surprise. They had him ranked 12th. He finished second, and Zach Ertz here too. But even George Kittle, they were down on him a little bit. So here's how they're consensusly ranked. Though for this next year, you can see they got Brock Bowers first. That could be a little mistake. Remember, his average was lower than these two, just by virtue of playing every game. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's an exciting rookie, but that sophomore slump might get him anyway. Here's how they have him consensusly ranked. Of course, Johnny Smith getting moved down, and Mark Andrews. That slow start for Isaiah Likely, that might be a little low. And Laporta here. Ooh, they got him fourth. Coming back with him. So that's how the consensus rankings are. Here's just an interesting what round they were drafted in. George Kittle was a 5th round NFL pick. Trey McBride was a 2nd round. Brock Bowers, of course, was that high 1st round pick. And so was Njoku. And some 3rd round. So very rare do they take a tight end in 1st round like Bowers here. And Njoku. But all right, hit that subscribe button as the season gets closer. Our fantasy season, you want to be subscribed to get the latest. And give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Thank you. All right, let's rank these tight ends. Number 1, of course, is George Kittle. Last year's number 1 fantasy finish, 10.5 points a game. Just a little step above. 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. We like him as my number 1. Coming in, hey, they're going to need him, right? You look over the team's wide receiver situations, not so good. And George Kittle does have the 13th schedule here. Whew, like that 7. And he finished it on the 7th amount of touches last year at number 1 for tight ends. You know, they figured to lean more on him with a wide receiver issue. Signed a big 4-year extension. He's in the house. Good. Love that 1,100 yards receiving. And here's Trey McBride over here is number 2, right? Hey, whoops. He come in here last year, finished 3rd. You know, you see that drop off, 8.9. Even him finishing 3rd there was a little lower than, and 1,100, just 2 touchdowns. And that's where we think he can catch up this year. You look at his touchdowns. He only had 3, but only 2 receiving. That one was running. And compare that to Kittle and somebody like Mark Andrews on the list here, who has 11 touchdowns, right? So, hey, if this Trey McBride can just get a couple more touchdowns, right? Has the yardage, you know, focal point of their offense too. You know, that they were the 18th team in passing, but Kyler Murray's looking to do better with that 3rd schedule. The receivers, hey, 18th schedule, this nice 4th schedule for Trey McBride. We like that. All systems go on him, right? They made him the highest tight end paid and 4th easiest schedule. We like that schedule. So, boy, he's my number 2, right? And at number 3 here, I brought in Mark Andrews. Boy, he, finished 5th last year in scoring, right? And, of course, had that disappointing drop with that 2-point conversion. But 11 touchdowns last year, guys. 11 touchdowns for him, right? Hey, and we know the news here is that Isaiah Likely with his foot is going to get off to a slow start and may has a chance to be ready for week 1. Well, that means he ain't going to be ready. And Mark Andrews, this number 1 team offense, right? Lamar Jackson had 41 touchdown passes last year. I just can't get over that. Whoa, and Mark Andrews got 11 of them. So he's all set to go again. Finished 5th last year. I like him. He looking to rebound, especially with that Likely going to be missing early. You just like his chances. He got off to a slow start last year too. Look at those games missed, and he still finished 5th. Had one of them good average. I like Mark Andrews. Of course, up next I have Brock Bowers here at number 4. Everybody liked Brock Bowers last year. Hey, finished 2nd last year, had the 3rd highest average. Got that 5 touchdowns at 1,194 yards. Seemed to be the focal point of the team last year. All right, that's what was going good was Brock Bowers. All right, had a great year. Of course, here's a little different. Here you have new head coach, new quarterback, new running back that they want to focus on. Some good new wide receivers. I like this Thornton better than most of them here. And of course, the Janty. So I know Brock Bowers, and what we don't like is that schedule, right? He has the 26th hardest schedule. So I moved him down all the way to 4th, sophomore slump. But anyway, we're hoping, but the team just really focused on him last year, and we're hoping that same thing happens with my number 5 here is Tyler Warren. I came to this lately. Here he is, picked 14th in the draft last year. I figured with all the hype around this Brock Bowers that this Tyler Warren was going to be just ranked too high. And boy, hey, first of all, the preseason game put up the 40 yards, but it just looked like the whole offense was going to be designed around him. When I was watching, it's like, wow. Steichen says they like the physicality he brings to our football team and the receiving. And excited about reviewing the video. He did really good in the video review of how he did on his blocking matchups and assignment. Boy, he's going to be the focal point, like we said. And when things go bad, and they're looking towards the end of the year, they have no standout wide receivers here, right? To be the focus. He is the focus. I just think he's going to surprise like Brock Bowers did. And hey, I came to this lately. I was down on him. After seeing that, whew, I like that. Some Tyler Warren there at 5. Laporta. Hey, stick around though. I'm going to give you after these rankings, I'm going to give you how I would draft these tight ends. Of course, Sam Laporta here, I've got at 6. Sam Laporta for Detroit had a promising rookie year, finished 7th last year. I guess that's a disappointment. 7 touchdowns, 700 yards for a tight end is pretty good. But we go back to that rookie year, you can see he's down. He was number 1 that 2023. You can see he dropped back a little bit. So Detroit's got a lot of ammo, though. I'm looking for Jameson Williams to do really good this year. Amon St. Brown they got Tim Patrick's competent. Of course, Gibbs is going to be sucking him in. And you got to give David Montgomery. There's so many mouths to feed here. And is Sam Laporta going to get fed? So, hey, everything's looking good. So I like Sam Laporta with that number 3 easy schedule. We might as well put him at number 6. And how about TJ Hawkinson coming back? We're looking for a rebound here from him, right? Finished 34th last year. Of course, didn't play the whole year. He had those injuries. You can see he didn't come on till the end. And then even with that 4.5, would never quite himself, right? Hey, they gave him some money, though. He's got some money. And that ACL injuries from getting way back 2 years. Now, he did have a little groin injury, but he's back practicing. So all systems are go there. He's back into practicing. We'll see how much they give him in preseason. But TJ Hawkinson here, he can slip back to where he was a year ago. Hey, he's still a pretty good tight end. They just didn't forget him. And wait a minute, let me go back there. And with Addison's going to miss 3 games. Justin Jefferson, let's hope that hamstring's all better. And hey, they were the number 6 team passing. Yes, they got J.J. McCarthy, but hey, boy, I like some Hawkinson to rebound. And what about Travis Kelce here? Gotta like him here. He finished 10th last year. Well, the thing is, he's losing some weight this year. Gonna focus on this last year. Says he's lost 25 pounds to prepare for what could be his final season. So, hey, you still, for where he's been, you just still got to put him in there as, hey, when Kansas City, hey, gotta like him. How about Tucker Kraft last year? Came on sixth, finished sixth last year, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. Consensus has him 8th. I have him 9th. I'm a little more worried, I guess, about, hey, Luke Musgrave, he didn't play any because of the injuries last year. And let's not forget he was a second-round pick, right? Second-round pick, 42nd pick overall. That was Luke Musgrave. Tucker Kraft himself was the 3rd-round pick. But they took 2 tight ends, and that capital on, they're just not going to forget about Luke Musgrave. So, but hey, Tucker Kraft, number 12 team in passing. He's got that 27th schedule, though. So, hey, I wasn't as high on him as some. But how about Zach Ertz up next? Boy, I like him. Good team, good player. Been around, finished 8th last year. 7 touchdowns, 600. 30th schedule. Getting older. Hey, he had a lot of seasons behind him. So, hey, Zach Ertz, I like him, though. A tough schedule. And we'll see how he does. A couple others here. Evan Ingram, right? Evan Ingram. Hey, offensive coordinator Lombardi says Ingram has met or exceeded the high expectation the teams had when they signed him. So he's looking good in camp. Everything's going good with him. Hey, paid him 2-year, $23 million. So you look at his years. Boy, he's been never really just commanding, So, hey, I got to keep an eye on him, though. Denver's offense, that's going to be a good one. What about this Mike Gesicki here? Boy, just number 1 offense going to be this passing, this Joe Burrow. Hey, you got to keep an eye on him, too. He had some big games, but no touchdowns for him either. 2 touchdowns. They need some touchdowns here. Him and Ingram both get some touchdowns. So, anyway, that's a look at my top tight ends. Let's now go into how I'd pick them. Of course, every league's different on how much you value a tight end in your league, but you can see the drop off here. So, if you're not getting one of these top 4 tight ends, we're not interested in the rest. What I mean by that, if we don't take one of the top 4, well, then you just take the 10th. That's where I'm at in most of my drafts. Because, hey, you can see last year, this is the consensus rankings. Well, they had Laporta, he first, and he finished 7th. And Andrews finished in the middle. You see 6th here, 4. But anyway, Brock Bowers here, it's who I drafted last year. Took him 10th. Got him. He was the 2nd tight end. So same thing here. Let's look for that 10th one. Unless you're in a position where you need to take that tight end. Your team, or if your league values it more, or, that tight end really makes a difference. If, hey, if all the good running backs are taking good wide receivers, and you're at that spot, and it's time, you could take Kittle. He obviously heads and shoulder above the rest. All right, let's look at this.